The world of One Piece is built on balance. The Marines, the Yonko, the Warlords, and the power systems keeping all of them in check. But among all of that chaos, there are certain devil fruits that completely disrupt the natural balance of the world itself. Not because they're simply strong, but because their very existence can reshape history, destroy entire systems, and shift the fate of the world itself. From immortality to world destruction, to powers capable of rewriting reality itself. These are the devil fruits that could completely break the balance of One Piece. And trust me, stick around to the end of the video because later on, we're gonna uncover a terrifying theory surrounding one of these devil fruits that might potentially break the very laws of the One Piece power system itself. And I'm starting with the devil fruit that literally awakened and immediately started shifting the balance of the entire world. Yeah, I'm talking about the HITO NOMI model Nika, also known to us for years as Luffy's rubber fruit. For most of the series, we were led to believe it was just a paramecia-type devil fruit because of its rubber abilities. But later, we discovered the truth. It was actually a mythical Zoan tied to a legendary sun god, Nika. And suddenly, everything changed. The world government wasn't hunting this fruit for centuries because it was simply powerful. They feared what it represented: freedom, rebellion, the return of Joy Boy. This fruit is directly connected to the Void Century, a part of history the world was never supposed to uncover. And that's what makes this fruit balance-breaking, not just because of its abilities, but because its very existence threatens the entire world order. What makes it even crazier is the fact that the fruit almost chooses its own user, constantly avoiding the world government for centuries. That alone makes it a system-breaking anomaly. And once awakened by its current user, Luffy, the fruit stopped following normal battle logic entirely. It bends reality. It turns imagination into power. From grabbing lightning out of the sky to fighting in ways that completely ignore normal physics. The Nika fruit doesn't just give strength, it rewrites the rules of combat itself. And honestly, if this fruit didn't have its mysterious self-choosing nature tied to it, it probably already would have destroyed the balance of One Piece long ago. As insane as the Nika fruit is, it's actually the least balance-breaking fruit on this list, because the remaining 4 are already actively shifting the entire world of One Piece as we know it. Next up is the NOMI, the brain fruit. And yeah, the Joy Boy glazing, the Gear 5 solos comments, yada yada. Hear me out, because raw strength alone doesn't control the One Piece world, knowledge does. At first glance, the brain fruit doesn't seem like the most dangerous ability. Its main power is simply allowing the user to memorize and infinitely store knowledge. But in the hands of Dr. Vegapunk, this fruit became one of the most balance-shifting powers in the entire series. And honestly, there may not be a single character who has changed the modern One Piece world more than Vegapunk himself. The Marine's current dominance is heavily tied to his inventions. Vegapunk created giant war machines, cyborg armies, pacifistas, and eventually the Seraphim, genetically enhanced monsters that can rival some of the strongest fighters alive. And somehow, it gets even crazier. Vegapunk also learned how to replicate devil fruit abilities. He recreated Kaido's mythical Zoan fruit and copied abilities from other paramecia users as well. Meaning if given enough time, he could potentially create an entire army with artificial devil fruit powers. Think about that for a second. One man with enough knowledge could mass-produce weapons powerful enough to completely change the balance between pirates and the world government forever. And next up, the YAMMI no Mi, the dark fruit. A power once described as the most evil devil fruit in existence. Its current user, Blackbeard, can manipulate darkness itself, creating massive black hole-like vortices capable of absorbing almost anything into an endless abyss. But honestly, that's not even the scariest part. Unlike most Logia fruits, the dark fruit doesn't grant natural intangibility. Instead, it was given something far more terrifying: the ability to completely nullify other devil fruit powers through direct contact. And that is what makes this fruit balance breaking. Because devil fruits are one of the main power systems holding the One Piece world together. The Marines, the Yonko, the Warlords, even entire pirate crews, all rely on devil fruit abilities to maintain power. But Blackbeard's fruit directly counters that entire system itself, meaning no matter how broken your ability is, the moment Blackbeard touches you, it can all become meaningless. And if you think this is crazy, the next devil fruit make its destructive prowess childish. Drumroll, next up we have the GURA NOMI, the tremor fruit. A devil fruit so destructive that it was once stated to possess the power to destroy the entire world. And honestly, looking at what this fruit can do, that statement doesn't even feel exaggerated. Previously wielded by Whitebeard himself, the tremor fruit grants its user the ability to generate massive earthquakes and devastating shockwaves powerful enough to split the skies, shatter islands, and trigger tsunamis capable of wiping out entire fleets. But what truly makes this fruit balance-breaking isn't just raw destruction, it's scale. Most devil fruits dominate fights. This one threatens civilization itself. One man with this ability was enough to stand equally against the full force of the Marines during Marineford. Think about that for a second. The world government, the admirals, thousands of Marines, all preparing for the actions of one individual. That alone shows how terrifying this fruit truly is. And now, somehow, that same power ended up in the hands of Blackbeard, meaning one of the most dangerous men in One Piece history now possesses a devil fruit literally capable of shaking the world itself. And that's why the tremor fruit isn't just overpowered, it's a global level threat capable of destroying the very foundations of the One Piece world. And the final fruit on this list might honestly be the most dangerous long-term, the NOMI, the Op fruit. A devil fruit so valuable that the world government was willing to pay billions just to obtain it. And honestly, once you truly understand the full implications of this fruit, it becomes very obvious why. At first glance, most people see the NOMI as just an overpowered surgical ability used for insane battle techniques. But that's only scratching the surface of what makes this fruit truly terrifying. Hidden within this devil fruit is the perennial youth surgery, a procedure capable of granting immortality at the cost of the user's own life. And that is the kind of power that could permanently destroy the balance of the One Piece world. Think about it. Imagine the world government obtaining eternal rulers. Imagine a Yonko ruling the seas forever. Imagine centuries of experience, influence, and power being accumulated by a single immortal individual with no natural end. That wouldn't just shift the balance of the world, it would freeze it completely. And that brings us back to that terrifying theory I mentioned earlier, because what if the NOMI's perennial youth surgery wasn't just used on some random ruler, but instead on Imu, the mysterious figure sitting at the very top of the world government? If that theory is true, it would explain everything. Immortality, or at least a form of pseudo-immortality, survival across centuries since the Void Century, which makes the NOMI not just dangerous, but potentially one of the most important devil fruits in the entire history of the world. And those were the devil fruits capable of completely breaking the balance of the One Piece world. Not just because they're powerful, but because each one attacks a different part of the system itself. And honestly, the scariest part is that most of these fruits are already active in the current era of One Piece, meaning the balance of the world might already be collapsing right in front of us. But now I want to know your thoughts. Which devil fruit do you think is the most balance-breaking in all of One Piece? And before you all start the Joy Boy glazing, Gear 5 solos, yada yada yada, hear me out in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.